NDA Neta who's come on this show in the last 4 hours has said, wait, these numbers will change and the NDA is going to form a government by evening. Okay, maybe they will. 272 is what they need. 272, probably they'll get more than that only. But when you see this picture on your screens, the lower half, what is the story that it is telling you? And how will it turn out by the end of it?
I am not very sure about the NDA staying what it was prior to the elections. There is a fairly strong chances. We are in a country of shifting loyalties. It is quite likely that many opposition parties who are many parties which are part of the NDA may not like to continue with them any longer and would like to switch allegiance to the India alliance. It is quite possible. It is also possible that they may think that now we will have a slightly diminished Mr. Modi, so we will be able to dictate terms to him just the way that coalition partners did with Manmohan Singh, especially towards the end, when he said there are compulsions of coalition politics. Mr. Modi has not ever had the need to show his skills to manage a coalition. Possibly he does not have, from whatever little I understand of him, about his personality, it is either his way or the highway. So listening to the coalition partners is possibly going to be very difficult. So we are in for a much more competitive politics in the country and a greater debate and respect to the institution of parliament.
That's a good thing. A strong opposition. And if by the end of this election we see a strong opposition, it's good for this country. It's good for our democracy.
Yes, definitely.
I think more than strong, a responsible opposition is good for the health of our democracy. If large reforms are stalled, I mean, as the farm laws were stalled.
But you can't rush through laws as well, na? Doing dadagiri and manmani, which this government has done.
So they should be discussed on the merits, right? Just taking to streets, causing blockades, that is also not called for in a democracy. It was an illegal blockade that happened at Shaheen Bagh, that farm protest. If these sorts of blockades are going to be strengthened by the increased number of opposition, then it's a sad day. I think the opposition should also behave responsibly. Tomorrow we might have a lot of reforms, whether it's land acquisition, tomorrow it could be farm laws also in a different way. So I think the opposition also should start respecting whatever mandate they get, in an increased role. If with power they do not show responsibility, I'm afraid they'll go back to the margins that they came back
so
from.
You already are saying,
here at this stage, that before expecting the opposition to behave, whichever party is in opposition, it could well be the BJP which is in opposition. Parliamentary traditions, are they being followed? They have to. Look at the number of bills which were referred to the standing committee, which is a mandatory, tradition. It has been completely reduced in the last 10 years. You do not pass laws without referring it to the standing committees. Let them study. Where is the, you actually passed the very important laws in 2 hours, 3 hours in Parliament between 2019 and 2014. The one on Kashmir, you did it, just in a matter of a couple of days. So let us be more, greater adherence to our parliamentary traditions and the institutions. Let us not completely devalue the institutions. It's very important. That is why I say that the numbers on the side of opposition is actually going to strengthen the democratic polity of this country.
I think, Shreya, if there is one party that has obstructed parliament, that has boycotted parliament, and literally burnt taxpayers' money by reducing parliament to this, I think it's the opposition. And there have been multitude of instances. Sometimes they pick up Pegasus, sometimes they pick up Adani. So let's not go there. I think the opposition has been very, very irresponsible thus far. I hope that with greater numbers, some wisdom dawns on them and they begin to exercise responsibility which has eluded them completely thus far.
We also need to take into account the record of the Bharatiya Janata Party as the opposition party between 2004 and 14.
Firstly, two wrongs don't make one right, and secondly, it pales in comparison. The obstruction caused by the Congress, it pales in comparison what BJP did, and that was also not right. I don't take that in healthy spirit either.
For the last 10 years.
Two wrongs don't make one right,
now
sir.
This is very funny.
This debate post 6 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, for the moment, what we can safely say, as I welcome our guest this evening, Adil Boparai, happily on his phone. I think he's just doing a quick check of the numbers as they come in. Hi, Adil. Good to see you. You can just say a quick hi and go back to your phone if you wish to.
Hi, good evening. Good
Advocate
morning,
Sushil Vyas is spokesperson of the...
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. अरे evening तो हुई नहीं है. We are all hoping evening हो जाए because evening को ही पता चलेगा what the real figures are, because what we have is early trends now and the trend seems to be fairly favorable as far as the India bloc is concerned. So when the India bloc was saying 295 and everyone had dismissed it, about
If you remember,
I remember. But
on
I'll
the
still
1st
say
of
wait.
June at 8:30 p.m., I told you exit polls are fabricated. I told you they're fabricated. So regardless of the final numbers, regardless of how these numbers indeed crystallize, I think one thing is very clear: the exit polls were fabricated. I think the other panelists of yours were also present, who are present today. This was a handiwork of the BJP's duo, the exit numbers.
नहीं, maybe they got it wrong. But fabricated क्यों भाई? They have their reputations at line as well. Adil,
5 lakh sample.
Fabricated.
3,600 assembly
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I have a justification.
Let's not paint everyone with this.
I have a justification.
Casting aspersions.
I have a justification. Hear me out. I have a justification. Look at the market numbers yesterday. Look at the short selling which has happened. And God willing, if the India Alliance comes to power, the SEBI will investigate this. The SEBI will investigate how the exit polls predicted a landslide and how short selling happened on the stock exchange. This is another scam. And some of your media outlets, some of your sister channels also participated.
Election khatam hua nahi, you are already inventing a new scam yaar. Exit polls can get it wrong, but why call them fabricated? Anyhow, it can be your view. Quickly, Adil, any comments on the numbers that we are seeing on our screens here?
There are two, three things, there are two, three aspects, Shreya, which your viewers must consider. Number one, a key takeaway. This is an election which is going down to the last wire. Number two, the exit polls have got it entirely wrong. Number three, the people of this country fought the BJP electorally. They fought the institutions which were previously captured by the BJP. We kept on reminding an election commission which was in coma to ensure a level playing field. The Congress party's bank accounts were frozen 10 days before the elections. Our chief ministers were arrested on the eve of the elections. We fought against all odds. And the initial numbers indicate that the people of this country, at least I'll hold my horses till about 2 p.m. But one thing is very clear: the palpable anger which all of us saw, the palpable anger which we saw in UP, the palpable anger which we saw in Haryana, the anger which we saw in Maharashtra is coming to fruition. The BJP's, the initial results are a repudiation of the BJP's arrogance. The problem is their arrogance. And Indian politics, and I'm of course much younger than all the August and the esteemed persons on your program, but one thing which I have learnt and which I have read is that the Indian voter does not like arrogance.
Okay, 272 is what any bloc will need to form the government. And even if we go by the trends that are on our screens right now, the NDA has crossed that 272 mark. So they are in a position to form the government unless kuch aur jhol hota hai. The India Alliance at 231 up by 101. You wanted to respond, come in, and then I'm going to Anuja.